I'm Tony Bramley, the Director of Business Development here at the Mortgage Collaborative. And today we have with us Brad Ketcher with Ignite Integration Solutions. Hello, Brad. How are you?
Good, Tony. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. Thank you.
Great.
Now I want to take a vacation. Brad's going to talk to us today about the automating Encompass underwriting conditions with Ignite integration solutions. Before we get started, just want to give you just a couple of housekeeping rules that you have come into the webinar on mute. But we do want this to be engaging, so please ask your questions in the chat or in the Q&A function, and we will get those to Brad as he's going through his presentation and get those answered for you. We will also have a follow-up email that'll come out tomorrow. It'll have a link to this YouTube video, as well as some high-level bullet points that Brad covered for today. So thank you all very much for being here. We know you have crazy busy days, so thank you very much for being here and sharing this information. And with that, Brad, I will let you take it away.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony, and thank you, the Mortgage Collaborative, for organizing this webinar. Really appreciate it. And also at the same time, thank you everybody for spending your afternoon, or at least a snippet of your afternoon with me on this demonstration. So my name is Brad Ketcher. I'm with Ignite Integration Solutions. We have focused on Encompass since 2013. Our sister company is Matchbox, if you're familiar with them. And we have a whole range of either tools or applications and even hybrid applications, which are geared to help out with automation, workflow, better visibility within the system, and all around that we try our hardest to make a nice fluid Encompass environment. So on today's call, it's really just geared to focus on one solution, our Condition Automation Manager. And it's incredibly robust. At the same time, it's also very intuitive to use and to manage and to set up, which I'll go into all the details shortly. Some key features of the Condition Manager is that conditions can be automated, which can happen either upon loan save, or it could be manually started for conditions to be triggered. I'll walk you through all of that. The ability to automatically re-underwrite a loan if there are any changes. So if the loan program changed, so say like it went from conventional to FHA, our application is smart enough where we can get rid of conditions that haven't been worked on and then look at the loan with a fresh lens. All field IDs can be used for logic, except for virtual fields. So that's around, I don't know, 95+% of the fields, 25 to 30,000 fields can be used for logic. All 100% of your custom fields can be used for logic. We provide the ability to nest conditions with and or along with if then type statements, so parentheses. So you can really either have a very broad condition, like all FHA loans need a KVERS and FHA case number, or you could be incredibly granular of like a Texas cash out loan with an LTV greater than 75% and a loan amount greater than X dollars, then apply this condition. So it's a very, very robust solution. But when I say that, it's still very simple to manage. We have the ability to fill in blanks within the condition. So if you have need gift funds of, normally it's a $ with an underscore, and then it just doesn't look catered to the loan, catered to the borrower. So we could actually fill that in with a field ID. So this way it's now need proof of funds for gifts amount of, and then it could be, you know, the actual $ from field 220 for gift funds. Ability also to associate document placeholders to the loan. In terms of workflow, so this is not a need to have, but this is also what you can do with our solution, is that you could actually have a loan go from loan officer straight to underwriting, and you could skip the initial processor setup. And the reason why I say that, I used to be head of processing. I've been in the mortgage world for a while, and I'll say that the underwriter will never trust the processor for reviewing the appraisal or reviewing income. Everything else is basically looking at field IDs. Are they a first-time home buyer? Have they been on the job for 2 years? Have they been in the property for 2 years? Do they have any bankruptcies or judgments against them? And if that flag is met, then we could always apply the condition. Are they divorced? How many kids they have? And that's for VA loans. So we can work with basically any field. So aside from the income and the appraisal, everything else is pretty much just looking at field IDs, reading that, and then associating conditions to it. And that's what our solution does. Ability to skip the initial process, I was saying that, and then also the ability to handle investor overlays. So that's very important. I don't know how or why, but over the last 2-3 weeks, it's been a very big question of how do people manage investor overlays. So if there's a condition in the e-folder, then which I'll walk through, you could say that this investor does not accept either multifamily properties or self-employed borrowers or something along that line, that you can easily create logic and then associate that condition to the milestone if necessary to avoid that loan being targeted towards the wrong investor. So I'm going to walk through a couple of scenarios. My goal is to show that Ignite solutions are incredibly well built and that they can work within any environment. So what differentiates Ignite from just a normal software development company or even our competitors is that we comprise of half of us are mortgage professionals, me included. So again, I was a loan officer, I was head of sales, head of processing, head of capital markets twice. I worked for an asset management company for 7 years where we had about $3 billion worth of reperforming loans. So I oversaw due diligence, loss mitigation, and so many different hats. And I was there from the beginning. So I know mortgages well, and I'm just one spoke of the wheel. We have a great team here at Ignite that we speak the same language, we speak mortgages, we understand what your needs are, what you're looking for, and then we have a whole bench of full-time developers. All development is done internally here at Ignite. And then aside from that, so Ignite was formed in 2013, which I can't believe it, next year will be a decade that we're in business, and that we have a very thorough catalog of solutions. So not everyone might be meant for your environment, but we have a lot of different ways to help out with automation, better workflows, greater visibility. And last point I want to make is that in terms of Ignite, what do we stand for? We stand for quality, excellence, and service. And the thing is that you'll see that we really stand by our product that will help out if there are any type of functionality issues. We always run to the occasion and try to help out. And then also in terms of like knowledge transfer, holding your hand and just making sure that our solutions are well adopted. That being said, normally we could deploy a solution within 2 days of obtaining credentials. We'll help out with the deployment, we'll help you out with configuration, and it's very minimal resources are needed from your side. And we try to do as much of the heavy lifting as possible. So that being said, in terms of your screen, which I'm showing, and Tony, please correct me if I'm right, if I'm not showing my screen. So we're awesome, thank you. So basically, we're in the data business. I heard somebody say this, Dan Gilbert, so more than just somebody. He had mentioned this back in 2018 at the MBA Tech Conference, where he's like, just get rid of the moniker of mortgage, get rid of the stigma of you need processor and underwriter. He's like, we're just in data. So the things that we're talking to a borrower, we're getting the application, and that's bringing data in, we're reviewing the data, and then we're selling the data to an investor or securitizing the loan and having investors buy the notes. So if you look at it from this lens, then you start saying that almost anything is possible, and that gets into our condition automation. So we have a very extensive catalog. This is just kind of a snippet of it. I'll probably send this out to the attendees on this call. And then aside from that, we have a phenomenal website, which I'll show very quickly. So if you have any questions about our solution, by all means, go into igniteintegrationsolutions.com. And then we even have some videos for the solution. Whatever you need, by all means, just contact me and I can help you out in terms of any type of questions, pricing, or how to move forward. So without further ado, let me talk about our Ignite's condition automation. And so only Encompass admins can change the logic. So if I click on Encompass, we have these are user interfaces. So all of our tools have some configuration component So knowing that Encompass is like a fingerprint, it's so heavily customizable that we want to make sure that our solutions fit within your specific environment. Global solutions that work for either a 10 unit a month or 1,000 unit a month, they only go so far. So here is our user interface. And I'm sorry if I forgot to say this, but if somebody has a use case, please go into the chat and just say, can you do this or can you do that? I'm more than happy to walk through, even on this webinar. For the people that know me, I always say I don't want to walk that yellow brick road. I want to make sure that it fits within what you're trying to accomplish. So here is adding a condition rule. So that being said, you can add, modify, delete all within that first screen. So let me create a brand new rule. And I look at this as kind of like a file cabinet. So the top rule is going to be income, and if they are self-employed, FHA loan in Texas or New York with loan amount greater than 500,000. Okay, the second row can be a full paragraph if you want to. Not that I recommend that, but you could also put in the date. So maybe 2022 04 014. So now we just timestamped today's recording. Aside from that, for standard conditions, there are 3 different folders: preliminary, underwriting, and post-closing. We also have a similar solution for enhanced conditions, which only has 1 folder. And this screen looks a little bit different, but very, very similar. So for this demonstration, it's most people are still using standard conditions. So I'm just going to stick with standard conditions. So I'll say that this is for underwriting folder. And then from there, I could select either regular execution or automated execution. So regular is actually manually driven, which there's a button right here, and I'll show that once we build our rule. And then automated condition is upon loan save. So if I hit save, then it immediately reviews the loan, goes through the logic, and associates the conditions to that loan. So here are conditions that are specific to Ignite's Encompass environment. So I've just found that here are profit and loss statements, balance sheets, I need tax returns, and I'll say I need tax transcripts. So now I have 3 conditions that I always want to ask if a borrower or a co-borrower are self-employed. So, and then I could also move this over here. So this way it's a little easier to read. Add a new business condition. So I could add, edit, add parentheses. So I'm going to add a new condition. If I do not know the field, I could easily use the binoculars. And let's say I want to add this when the loan is in the submitted milestone has been accomplished. So here is the submitted milestone. I hit select. This shows me all the attributes to that milestone. So I do not want it to equal today. So I'm going to click here and say is not empty. So now this condition is, as long as the submitted milestone has been accomplished, now we can move on to the next condition. So next condition is going to be FE0115, is if the borrower is self-employed, it's yes. Otherwise, it'll be yes or no. It's basically a checkbox. Okay, I'll say FE0215. So now I'm solving for the borrower and the co-borrower. I'm looking at 1172 is if the loan is an FHA loan. And then I'm also going to look at the state, which is Texas, or the state is going to be New York. And then the last data point is going to be if the loan amount is greater than 500,000. So I will, instead of saying greater than and equals, I'll say greater than 500,000. After this, I could add parentheses and I could drop down the income type. Okay, so that's borrower self-employed. I could drop down the states, which are right here. I could double click on the and that gives a window for or. Do that again here, and then now I'm finished. So I have, if the loan has reached the submittal milestone, it's an FHA loan. The loan amount is greater than 500,000, and in parentheses, borrower 1 or borrower 2 is self-employed, and it's in Texas or New York. You can get as deep of logic as you want. And then once I hit OK, now I have my rules already built out, and hit OK, and then I am good to go. This is all of the rules. So we have rules that are already pre-built. So here are preliminary rules, underwriting, so they're getting into the folder. I think in my lifetime, I know one company that's using post-closing condition rules, but for the most part, I don't know anybody else that has. And then we're good to go. So aside from that, so if I look at the E folder, And if I look at preliminary conditions, it is blank. Okay, all of the conditions that I have set up right now for upon loan save are going to save into the preliminary conditions. And then in terms of underwriting conditions, I have it where it's a bit of a mixture. So this is showing if it's manually applied to the loan, and this is upon loan save, or the fully automated version. Let's see. So what I'm going to do now is, and then just to kind of show you. So here's condition manager. Here are the rules, and you're going to see here's preliminary rules. So I have certain rules are set up for preliminary. So I'm just going to click save, get the nice pop-up. Takes just a little bit to review the loan. And this is basically like all the plugins, all the parts of the loan. I know we had the SDK 22.1 released over the weekend. I don't know about the members on this call right now, but it just seems like Encompass has been a little bit slower than normal, unfortunately. And then that on top of a Zoom call, it seems like they kind of interfere with bandwidth. So what we're showing here is that I'm going to, once this kind of like finishes processing, I'd say normally it takes about 10 seconds or so. So then if I go into the E folder, you should see all the preliminary conditions related to the loan. So here are preliminary conditions, and then here you go. So if I open up the source, this is going to show that they're all automated conditions, and we're getting into it. It's an FHA loan, so you're going to need the FHA requirements. Income-wise, it's going to be based on self-employed borrowers, and then you get into appraisals being needed. So the other part is that if I was to like manually drive the process, then it's right here is automated conditions. I could pick on which folder that I want. So it could be underwriting, post-closing, or preliminary. So in this moment, I could click on running just regular conditions. So click OK. I'm going to receive a pop-up. So the most like the beginner or the most juvenile condition, the status is added. So we are giving you the option. Well, not so much the option, but it's kind of like a bit of a warning that if the condition is ignite added, then what we're going to do is rip out that condition and then reapply conditions from a fresh lens. And that's important because if the loan starts as conventional and then you want to like migrate it to FHA, then we could rip out the conventional conditions and then we could reapply it as if it's a FHA loan. So click yes, and then now it's going into the E folder, and as I said, it's ripping out the ignite added conditions, and then it's reapplying conditions that meet the loan specifications. I can just give it a couple of seconds, and then it should work. Personally, I'm an advocate of manually applying conditions. I feel like underwriters, especially, they want to know that the solution just ran. They feel a lot more comfortable when they see things. The other part is right here. You can see 2 out of 13 conditions. I'm sorry. Well, so right now it shows 13 internal conditions. This is a separate solution, I'll be honest, but this gives a lot of visibility into the loan of how many conditions. So I have changed quite a bit on this loan since the last time it ran. But again, you can get into, if it's a condo, you need these conditions. If it's in a flood zone, so you can say anything aside from X that you need flood insurance. You just, if you let your, like, what I recommend normally is audit a few loans, maybe at the end of the month or just periodically, because you could see which conditions were manually entered, which ones were added through a condition set. Condition sets are good, but at the same time, inherently, you're going to over condition a loan with condition sets. So here we are. So, and a condition set's not going to pick up that the person's divorced, that they meet maybe not a U.S. citizen or something in that regards. So going to the E folder, go into underwriting conditions, and then here we are. So all of these conditions have just been, most of these conditions have just been added, and it's all based on looking at field IDs. So I could jump into like our Ignite demo page, and then from here, I can change from single family to condominium. So you could see that like I always say that see it live, let you know that it actually works. So I do not see any condo rules being built here versus in the condition manager. I could get into this and look at underwriting condition. So I'm looking at reference field 1553 is condo. Okay, so let me change this is, and you see bottom right, field 1553 has condo. Save it, and then run it. So, and that's where I would say, please put in the chat if you have any kind of questions to see how it runs. I'll be more than happy to run through a scenario for you and let you know how it works. So that's the condition automation. You know, I mean, I don't want to belabor the point, but it is incredibly thorough. We could help you in terms of setting it up, and we've tried to put as much of the resources on our shoulders versus yours. So Tony, if you don't mind, let me know if there are any questions that came through the chat, and if there's a way that I could help out in any way.
Yeah. So the HELOC conditions, can they be set up?
Sure. So from that perspective, field 1172 is loan program. So that could be FHA loans, VA loans, USDA loans, HELOC loans, and other. So what we can do is getting into like the channel. So we could start off with if 1172 equals HELOC, then apply these conditions. So it's the solution is so nimble that it can work for just about all the situations. So the short answer is yes, we could work on HELOC only type conditions.
Excellent. And is there a setup fee?
So for the solution itself, so the condition manager is strictly just a plugin tool. So we're waiving the setup fee for this month. It's April, and the cost is $295 per month, which I think is incredibly affordable. The ROI is normally within 3 months that people get their money's worth, and needless to say, and that's based on an originator closing 250 units per month. So I have an ROI calculator, which I'm happy to share with anybody, and it goes through it goes through the employee's income on an hourly basis. It's very, very dynamic, where you could set it up of what works for your environment. But let's see. So in terms of setup fee, that is waived, and the cost is $295. And then the other question is, if you want Ignite to set up your conditions, that's something that we could do. Normally, it's 10 hours worth of consulting time, and I'm incredibly transparent if you're looking to recruit Ignite to do the setup and development for you.
Excellent. And how long does it take to get this in place within Encompass?
Sure. So whoever asked that question, thank you. So normally, so we will do the deployment for you. Definitely in the test environment, if you want to provide us with credentials for production, we can hop in, manage the deployment, do a little smoke testing, and then leave. So just deploying the actual tool itself is normally within 2 days of having credentials that could be deployed. And if you want us to actually build out the logic for you, it's normally 4 hours of our time to review your conditions, create the logic, like definitions, and then we'll go through a phone call, and then it'll take us normally about 4 hours to actually type up and create that logic. So I'd say 2 days for the tool to be deployed, and probably within 2 weeks for the logic to be built out. So I'd say very, very comfortably within a month of signing a contract, you should be up and running, if not substantially sooner.
Excellent. And then can they admin their own conditions?
So yes, absolutely. So in the end, when you go through so let me get out of here. So if you go into Encompass settings, and then you go into the E folder, so then you can just add conditions very quickly. So E folder conditions. So from here, you just add conditions, and then once they're added, our tool, our solution, is going to pick them up immediately. So I'll say right before this phone call, I added a brand new condition for overlays. So so if I look at overlay is right here. So if I say that this investor, so you could use it like investor ABC. I don't want to negatively speak about a real company. So if this investor is not buying 3 to 4 families, you can create additional conditions, and then from there just set up logic that if field 16 equals or is greater than 2, then now you have that condition for the overlay. So absolutely, one, as you add conditions to your e-folder, our solution's automatically going to pick that up. You need to close out Encompass and have a fresh session, but absolutely we could pick up any new conditions. And on top of that, you could always add additional logic on your own, or if you want to reach out to us, we can help you out with that.
And is it the same for the enhanced costs, the enhanced conditions for the cost?
Yeah, great question.
Cost.
Yes, that's correct. The enhanced, there are a couple of nuances with the enhanced conditions. So kind of getting into the weeds for anybody that cares, the standard conditions are through SDK technology, enhanced conditions are through API technology, and in terms of through admin settings, on standard conditions, you can correlate a document to a condition versus for enhanced conditions today, unfortunately, there's no correlation. So we will list every one of your documents here and then every one of your conditions here. So it feels the same, it works very similarly, but there would be more time to actually pick each document that corresponds to a condition because enhanced conditions are not paired up yet. So might be a little bit more time, but it's, and that's if that's the future that you care for.
Then we have another question about enhanced conditions, and then I'll come back up to an additional question. If they're using enhanced condition, which allow for the same expression-based functionality, what are the benefits of Condition Manager other than the expression-based and removal of the condition? What are the additional
I'll say
benefits?
that's the biggest benefit. So enhanced conditions are constantly just being worked on. So that's a great question and a very fair question. So enhanced conditions. So initially the automation of conditions was a little bit clunky. There were a couple of bugs where conditions were being added multiple times. So if instead of it just being appearing once, all of a sudden every time you save the file, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. From our side, I feel like managing the conditions is just an easier, more intuitive feel about it with our solution. On top of that, it's whoever wrote that question kind of pointed it out, that our capability of ripping out conditions that are not being worked on, that is a big saver, because otherwise you might have a lot of conventional conditions when you're working on transitioning into an FHA loan. So it's a cleaner process.
Just noise.
But yeah, exactly. But as of right now, it seems like there's overwhelming benefit definitely on the standard conditions at this moment. And we're constantly evaluating our solutions, our tools, our inventory of tools that we have. So if anybody has an idea, by all means, reach out to me, because we're always looking at, like, we're working on 4 new solutions right now, which I'm hoping to release at least 2, if not 3 by the summer, which can really help revolutionize the Encompass environment. So if you have an idea, by all means, reach out through my contact, or if you want, even through Ignite's website, and then I'll get your inquiry.
Excellent. And then we've got a question. Is there a best practices set of rules that come with the tool, or do they have to start from scratch?
So interesting. So the challenge and the real answer is every Encompass environment is unique. So it's difficult. Some people ask me, can you just deploy your coding already, so this way I'm up and running? And the problem is that the condition names that we use are not going to match the same condition names that you have, and therefore there's a mismatch and it's not going to work. That gets into, normally if you recruit us for 10 hours, then we are very skilled and knowledgeable at what we do, that we can have you up and running in a very short amount of time. In terms of best practices, first and foremost, this goes for any technology. Test it out, make sure that it works, especially before you get into automation. To not test automation and just put that in production is asking for some type of issues down the road. And so from that, we'll not only hold your hand, but provide you with a run book and a couple of examples that you should test. So this way you get more comfortable with it. But in terms of best practices, I'll say that that's I can only speak for Ignite, but we'll be holding your hand from the beginning till production, and then we'll be guiding you along the way.
Thank you. And
Absolutely.
then if they edit a condition, does the tool pick up the edited version, or do they have to go in and manipulate it on their side?
So if I'm reading this correctly, or understanding this correctly, that if the condition, the language of the condition has changed, then once there's a fresh session, then our Encompass solution is going to automatically pick up the latest and greatest. Perfect example is what I was saying about gift funds. So beforehand, our environment was $_ 6 characters. So we amended that rule to be $ space field 220. And then, so now all future applications of our condition manager to loans is automatically picking up the latest and greatest of that condition name. And that's the other part, is that, our conditions can be loan specific instead of an average environment. From what I've seen, has between 20 and 30, like underscores and blanks. And it just kind of looks not catered to the borrower. So if you want to look slightly more professional, this solution can definitely help out and be more catered to the borrower.
Excellent. And I want to thank everybody for your questions. These are fantastic. So we really appreciate you engaging in the conversation. One last question that I see, are there standard closing funding conditions? Says they saw prelim underwriting and post-closing, but
Yes.
no closing and funding conditions.
So just native to Encompass, there are only 3 folders in Encompass: preliminary, underwriting, and post-closing. So for us, our solution is able to place conditions into these buckets, so to speak. That being said, when in underwriting conditions, you can designate who the owner is going to be. That's actually through Encompass admin settings, but you can get into, is it external or internal? Who's the owner of the condition? So that's all done on the Encompass admin side of the condition. And then once that condition has been created, then our solution can automatically apply that condition to the loan. So in essence, I hope I'm answering your question, but in essence, yes, we can apply pretty much any condition at any given time. We don't need to wait for a milestone for that to happen. There are plenty of builder clients of ours that they are not working with milestones, just because a loan might take 9 to 12 months. So we're able to look at data points. If that data point has been met, if the RESPA 6 has been met, then you should do this, and that. So the answer is yes, we can apply any condition that you have inside your Encompass environment, can be applied at any time.
Excellent. Well, I hope that answered everyone's questions. Thank you, Brad. And once again, appreciate you guys being here today. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to Brad. Always available to continue this conversation offline, and do check out their website, Ignite integrationsolutions.com. And once again, appreciate everybody's time today. And Brad, as always, thank you so very much for all of your information.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, the Mortgage Collaborative. Great institution. If anybody is not aware of the TMC, I'll say, just had a conference last month. It's one of those few, and I've always said, it's like a utopia where lenders are actually giving away some of their best secrets to other lenders. And that is factual, that's actual. You have vendors generally give price discounts towards TMC members, vendors that are associated to the TMC. So it's a great organization that if you want my opinion and you want to reach out to me directly, I'm more than happy to discuss. And other than that, anything Encompass based, please by all means just reach out. My mantra is, most people know we're all in the same pond trying to get ahead in life. If there's any way I could help out, whether or not it's Ignite tools, solutions, or if it's just about mortgages, however I can help out, we're more than happy to spend the time and help you. So thank you everybody for your time. Really appreciate your time and your interest. Thank you.
Great. And thank you very much. Brad's an awesome guy. So once again,
thank you.
Truly a wonderful person.
I appreciate
Excellent.
that. Right,
excellent. Well, thank you guys very much. Have a great day and have a great weekend.
Too. Thank you.